Chapter 6. Again David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baale of Judah, to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God, and Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps, and on psalteries, and on timbrels, and on cornets, and on cymbals. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. And David was displeased, because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Perazuzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the seat of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom, and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window. And she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord, and set it in his place, in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of fish, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, every one to his house. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal the daughter of Saul came out to meet David, and said, How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself. And David said unto Michal, It was before the Lord which chose me before thy father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own sight. And of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal the daughter of Saul had no child until the day of her death. This chapter has 2 significant things in it. The first one is the death of Uzzah. And the second one is the confrontation between Michal, Saul's daughter, that was married, that was given to somebody else to marry, and basically that David had taken as a wife when he became the king. And in Uzzah's case, he and his brother were Levites, and they were accompanying the Ark of the Covenant as it was traveling on a new cart from the place where it had been stored for 20 years up to Jerusalem, where David had the tabernacle, or had a place pitched for it to be looked after. And now it says that the oxen stumbled, and it appears as though Uzzah, who was traveling beside the ark, reached out to prevent the ark from perhaps tumbling off the cart or falling or tipping over. and was instantly killed. Now, the commandments, which all the Levites knew, were that only very specific individuals at very specific times, under very specific circumstances, were allowed to touch the ark. And Uzzah wasn't one of those people. This wasn't the time, and this wasn't the circumstance. And there are some things that Heavenly Father takes very seriously. Very, very, very seriously. And in order to see to it that everybody got the message, Uzzah died right then and there. David was very concerned. And so they simply took the ark into this fellow's place and left it there. And when it had been there for a couple of months, David and the place was, the people who had that place where the ark was were blessed. David felt a little more comfortable about taking it up to Jerusalem, and so they took it up to Jerusalem. On the way there, David is, it says, wearing an ephod. David is dressed as a priest. Now, he would not have done that to mock being a priest or to pretend being a priest. He would have done that because he was authorized to act in that way. It doesn't say that, but he wouldn't have done that any other way. He had integrity and everything else in his life here so far. And he's dancing and he's celebrating with all of the people who are coming with the Ark of the Covenant. Now, Michal, his wife, looks out of a window, and what does she see? Now, you got to understand, in Michal's time, the worship of God was totally non-existent in her father's household. Totally didn't exist. And so what she liked about David was this guy was the king, this guy was high and mighty, this guy was somebody special. You're married to the king, that makes you somebody special. And here is David dancing, prancing, and having a celebration with the common people, which lowers him in her sight. And she chastises him. Now, the priest's garment that he wore was not from neck to foot. And so she makes an allusion, a statement that basically isn't true, but that basically sounds like it's true, that David would have been uncovered in some part of it because he was dancing and all the rest of it. And basically all that is an expression in Hebrew which basically means he lost his dignity because he made himself common by participating in activity of the common people. So that's what that means. And he let her know that if she hated him that much, if the only thing that he meant to her was that he was the king and he could feed her and clothe her and shelter her and she could be proud because she was married to the king, then there were other things that were or weren't going to happen into her life that she also wasn't going to like. And basically said she had no children until the day she died. So he ignored her. If she hated him, he ignored her. That's a terrible thing to happen. But this was a very proud woman, apparently. And she brought it on herself.